I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Vietnam Veterans News Podcast. News of interest about Vietnam veterans from a Vietnam veteran. Now here's your host, Mac Payne.
This is Mac Payne here with episode 1790 of the Vietnam Veteran News Podcast. News about the Vietnam War and the brave veterans who served there, as told to you by yours truly, a Vietnam veteran. In this episode, we're going to return to a familiar subject on this podcast, and that is the Agent Orange situation. Anyone who's listened to this podcast for any length of time will know all about it because I've talked about it a lot. It is one of the darkest and most dangerous headaches we brought away from the Vietnam War. Way back in 1962, some real smart guys got together, and they figured that if we used a real high-powered weed killer over in Vietnam, that would be the very thing we needed to use to win that situation and put it to a close. It would get rid of the enemy's hiding places and their food supply all at the same time. What could go wrong? Even back then, certain individuals were aware that high-powered weed killer, later to be known as Agent Orange and other colors, might just possibly make a few people sick who were exposed to it. Apparently, the smart guys who were making decisions back then about these things figured that the benefits of using Agent Orange greatly outweighed its distractions, like people getting sick. I'm guessing they figured it's a small price to pay for the benefits that would be gained from using Agent Orange. Using Monday morning quarterbacking technology, we have discovered that little slight detail about Agent Orange causing a few people to get sick was grossly underestimated. We've been putting up with it for a long time. Vietnam veterans are suffering terribly from the effects of this disease. It took the VA a while to even recognize that it was, in fact, a condition caused by service in Vietnam. Finally, they started offering treatment and compensation to veterans. Then we went through the boots-on-the-ground era, where with the stroke of a pen, they excluded anyone who served in Vietnam and did not put their foot on the ground in the country were excluded from receiving the benefits. That led to a decades-long fight to get equity for primarily the Blue Water Navy Vietnam veterans. That's coming slowly but surely. Matter of fact, we talked about that back in episode 1783, where I shared a story with you that wondered about what was a holdup in getting benefits to the Blue Water Navy Vietnam veterans. I shared a story with you that was written by none other than Abby Bennett. She is a great writer. I wrote up a lengthy resume description of what she's done in the field of journalism, and I was impressed. Hope you were too. She wrote another story about the latest thing going on with Agent Orange. Lately, the big thing with Agent Orange benefits is veterans organizations across the country are trying to get the VA to add some illnesses to their list of presumptive diseases. For some reason, there seems to be a problem. I'm going to share a story with you that comes from connectingvets.com, written by Abby Bennett herself, titled, Senator Schumer Pushes for VA to Expand Benefits for More Agent Orange-Linked Illnesses. When I look at these stories, these politicians, they sound so sincere and earnest. They want to help the veterans, but it looks like all they're trying to do is grandstand. You can pass laws all day long ordering the VA to do certain things, but if you don't give them the money to do it, the VA will not be able to do it. That appears to be the situation we are in now. Congress is screaming at the VA, do this, do that, do this. Then the VA says, all right, we'll do all that, but we need some more money to do it. Then Congress will say, that's ridiculous. We can't afford it. We have to pay more foreign aid or other things. It appears to me to be one big kabuki theater dance. Everybody dances around saying this and that and saying we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And it very seldom ever seems to lead to anything concrete for the benefit of the veterans. I'm going to share this story with you just to keep you updated on what's happening. Apparently, the Senate is getting into the action now, trying to pass a bill that will add some illnesses to the VA's list of presumptive illnesses. I'm sharing it with you just to keep you informed and hoping that someday something will happen that'll benefit the people suffering from Agent Orange, including their children and grandchildren, because it seems to get passed on to succeeding generations. Without any further ado, let's see what Abby Bennett has to say about Senator Schumer and what he is doing to push for expanded Agent Orange benefits. Again, the title of the story I'm fixing to share with you is Senator Schumer pushes for VA to expand benefits for more Agent Orange-linked illnesses. Dateline, Washington, D.C. Senator Chuck Schumer is pushing a plan to expand Department of Veterans Affairs disability benefits for more Agent Orange-linked diseases VA leaders have so far delayed covering. During a news conference Tuesday, Senate Minority Leader Schumer of New York said the plan had broad bipartisan support, and he planned to include it as an amendment to the annual defense spending bill currently working its way through Congress. I believe that's the same bill that has a little rider in there that says we're going to have to change the names of all those military posts in the South that were named after Civil War leaders. For that reason, I hope it does not pass. Let me add this here. I encourage everybody here to write or call your senator and congressman and tell them do not change those names. There is too much history and tradition attached to them. Speaking to other veterans, I don't know about you. When I was assigned to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and Fort Hood, Texas, and Fort Lee, Virginia, and Fort Stewart, Georgia, I never thought about what Braxton Bragg did. All I did was associate the name Bragg with some memorable experiences I went through with the 82nd Airborne Division. I was not thinking about the Civil War. And if they start changing all these names, it's going to screw up a lot of tradition and a lot of memory. That's my personal political plea I'm making to everyone who listens to this. Continuing with Senator Schumer's statement, he said this: "We're here to unveil a national plan. We're about to win this fight. The plan will expand the list of diseases, will provide relief for tens of thousands of veterans nationwide." Just like Neville Chamberlain, Schumer took a copy of that amendment and waved it over his head and pronounced, "It will pass." So far, the VA covers 14 illnesses linked to the toxic herbicide used during the Vietnam War. But VA leaders have resisted or delayed adding 4 additional illnesses: hypertension, more commonly known as high blood pressure, bladder cancer, hypothyroidism, and Parkinson's symptoms, leaving thousands of aging and ill veterans without disability benefits for those issues. Schumer said his plan would require VA to formally acknowledge the substantial proof linking 3 of the 4 illnesses to Agent Orange exposure, which caused all kinds of damage to our vets. The plan would add these conditions to the Agent Orange presumptive conditions list, Schumer said. The Senate Minority Leader said he plans to get the 4th illness, hypertension, included on the House side since Senate Republicans nixed it. A note here. I was just thinking. Seems like everybody and his brother over 50 has high blood pressure. How are you going to say that a person's high blood pressure was caused by exposure to Agent Orange when everybody else in the neighborhood has high blood pressure? I guess all the smart boys up there in Washington, they can figure that out. Continuing. Republican Senate leaders agreed to put the amendment on the floor, Schumer said. They're in charge, but they left out one condition, hypertension, and we're going to get that in when the bill goes to the House. We're going to fight to get that in. Okay, Chucky boy, are you also going to give the VA the necessary funds they need to take care of all those additional veterans? He didn't say. Continuing. Lawmakers and veterans groups have for months repeatedly called on VA Secretary Robert Wilkie and the White House to extend benefits and help an aging population of veterans and their families. So far, Wilkie has said he is awaiting the results of the VA's in-house studies. The White House has been silent. Lawmakers, congressional staff, and VSOs told Connecting Vets. I guess the White House was all tied up with the Russia investigation and the Ukraine investigation and all the other investigations they keep throwing on them. Continuing. Wilkie said he would likely not make a decision on expanding benefits for the 4 illnesses until late 2020. That's only about 4 or 5 months away, so he better get busy. Continuing. Veteran service organizations have made toxic exposures a top priority in 2020. From Agent Orange to hazards that caused Gulf War illness to burn pits, black ooze, and other toxins from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. VA Secretary himself, Robert Wilkie, has said repeatedly he disagreed with the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine scientists' finding that link Agent Orange exposure to the 4 diseases, a decision the VA says could cost up to $15.2 billion U.S. Normally, you would think that would be a lot of money. But the way they throw money around in Washington, D.C. these days, that's just pocket change. So come on, Chucky boy, give them the $15.2 billion and they'll take care of it. Continuing. Schumer said the delays have been caused by those concerned about the cost of extending benefits to these veterans. I'm glad somebody's worried about it. Continuing again. Unfortunately, penny pinchers in the OMB and even in the VA have excluded thousands and thousands of veterans from getting the benefits they need, Schumer said. That's why we are resorting to legislation. Schumer made this announcement on Tuesday, July the 7th, 2020, alongside Vietnam Veterans of America members. Politicians like to do that, gather a bunch of affected people around them as they push a certain piece of legislation. Guess it works. They all keep doing it. Continuing. VVA President John Rowan chimed in with this when he said, "This has been a long time coming." Last year, and again in January, Wilkie said he planned to delay his decision on adding 4 illnesses to the list of diseases VA covers related to exposure to the toxic herbicide. The U.S. sprayed 22 million gallons of herbicides over Vietnam from 1962 to 1971, including Agent Orange, which was the biggest one. They also sprayed a lot of Agent Blue because that was the only one that would kill rice plants. Got to get rid of that rice over in South Vietnam. I still wonder who came up with that bright idea. Continuing. 2 years ago, then VA Secretary David Shulkin decided to add more diseases to the VA's list of health concerns that qualify a veteran for Agent Orange disability benefits. According to documents obtained by a veteran through the Freedom of Information Act and provided to Connecting Vets, White House officials stood in Shulkin's way, expressing concern about the cost of covering additional diseases and requesting more research. Military Times first reported on the documents. I guess somebody leaked those documents too. Continuing. A year ago, Veterans Health Administration head Dr. Richard Stone told Congress VA hoped to make a decision on these illnesses within 90 days. As previously reported by Connecting Vets. I guess they missed that deadline. Repeated attempts by Connecting Vets to get an update from VA officials on whether the department had a forthcoming decision have been consistently met with the same statement. VA has no announcements on Agent Orange presumptive conditions at this time. Doesn't that sound just like what a bureaucrat would say? Just for your information, there will be a link to a list of diseases currently linked to Agent Orange and eligible for benefits on the podcast website, VietnamVeteranNews.com. If you are interested, go over there and take a look. I think you may be surprised at all the diseases they say are caused by the dioxin in Agent Orange. That list also gives helpful hints to veterans who have those symptoms and what they have to do to go to the VA and get some help. Now you have the latest updated information on what is going on with our efforts to provide help to veterans suffering from Agent Orange diseases. After working for years with the Blue Water Navy Vietnam veterans and other veterans groups, I understand exactly how frustrating it is to get anything done in Washington, D.C. They say that the people who wrote up our Constitution intended it to be that way. Otherwise, we would go off willy-nilly in all sorts of directions, doing everything and putting ourselves in the poorhouse by overspending on everything. Let's hope they get something done for them. We owe them all a sacred obligation. This is what the VFW Commander-in-Chief, Doc Smits, has to say about it. And I quote, "Vietnam veterans did our part. After winning every battle they fought while they were in Vietnam, many of them have lost their fight in the horrible health conditions they received from Agent Orange exposure. It is unacceptable that the list of conditions presumed to be associated with Agent Orange exposure does not include conditions that the scientists have said are connected to military service." Now you have the latest news on the Agent Orange situation and the VA. This is Mac Payne closing out episode 1790. Thank you so much for coming to listen to these stories. You are cordially invited to return again soon and often to listen to more that will be coming your way on this podcast, the Vietnam Veteran News.
How about that? Ain't that a mess?